Iraq says it's carried out a deadly airstrike against positions of Daesh terrorists in Syria. Iraqi F-16 jets targeted terrorists near the city of Hajin in coordination with the Syrian government. According to Iraqi Prime Minister's office, Haider al-Abadi himself ordered the attack because of the danger that it posed by the terrorists. Statement added that the airstrike demonstrates the growing capacity of Iraq's armed forces to hunt down and take out terrorists. Terror group still controls pockets of desert along the Iraqi border with Syria, where Baghdad has repeatedly carried out airstrikes against the Takfiri group. And joining us now out of Damascus for an update is our own Press TV's Muhammad Ali. Hello, Muhammad. Thanks for joining us to update us. Now, Muhammad, what do we know about Baghdad carrying out attacks against terrorists on Syrian soil?
Yes, Speaker of the Iraqi army, Yahya Rasool, said that Iraq carried out airstrikes against Daesh terrorists in Syria in coordination with the Syrian government. Yahya Rasool also added that the airstrikes were carried out by F-16 fighter jets. At the same time, the Iraqi Prime Minister's office also said that under directives of the commander of the armed forces, Iraqi armed forces, Haider al-Abadi, the Iraqi Air Force carried out those airstrikes, deadly airstrikes, according to the office, against Daesh terrorists in the area on the borderline between both countries. And that the reason behind carrying out such airstrikes in Syria is that those terrorists in that part of the Syrian desert pose a threat on the Iraqi territories, and this is why the Iraqi fighter jets carried out such airstrikes. It is to be noted that this is not the first time that Iraqi Air Force carries out such sorties against terrorists, Daesh terrorists in particular in Syria, and in particular in those areas in Syria's desert. Previously, this happened during the war on Daesh, especially when the Syrian army was advancing against those terrorists in al-Kamal, which is a border town between Syria and Iraq, and also in Deir el-Zor. We saw the high coordination that happened between both states, between the armies of Syria and Iraq, and definitely this shows how important such cooperation is, because the threat is one at the end of the day, and both forces, by collaborating, the Syrian army and the Iraqi army, were able at that time to liberate all of the major towns and cities that Daesh used to occupy for years, whether in Syria or in Iraq, particularly Deir el-Zor, which turned out to be the main stronghold at that time for Daesh, and also al-Kamal, which served as a gateway for Daesh terrorists from Syria to Iraq and also from Iraq into Syria.
Mohammed, I'm glad you mentioned cooperation. How is the coordination when it comes to intel regarding terrorist positions between Baghdad and Damascus?
Yes, there is an intelligence room. There is cooperation between Syria, Iraq, as you know, also Iran and Russia over there. And it seems that this cooperation has led to securing those areas that Daesh used to occupy. Daesh, as you know, has been defeated as a terrorist organization. Now only small groups of Daesh are present in areas in the eastern desert of Syria. And due to such cooperation, intelligence cooperation, of course, the Syrian army and the Iraqi army were able to locate the precise locations of those terrorist groups, their strongholds, their command centers, and their communication centers in Syria and Iraq. Thus, they defeated together Daesh inside Syria and inside Iraq.
Thank you for joining us for that update out of Damascus. Our own Press TV's Muhammad Ali.